Welcome to the Fantasy Football Forge. My name is Steve, and in this video, we will go over the injuries this week. It's not too bad of a week for injuries. A lot of it's pretty straightforward. A lot of things are to be expected. There are a couple guys who look like maybe they were going to be injured as of Thursday and not playing, and they're playing. I only go over the players who are out or maybe highly and questionable, doubtful. I'm not going to go over the players who are in. So if I don't say a player's name, then they should be in unless I really messed up. And if I did mess up somewhere, obviously put that down in the comments for others to see. Before we get into this, though, at the end of the video, I will go over my DFS lineup of the week and a quick recap of how I did with my lineup last week. And right now, I will go over one big thing from the Thursday night game, and I really don't have anything from the Tampa Bay perspective here. I think they just kind of are who we think that they are. Nice to see Rachaad White with another good week, though, that's for sure. As far as the Buffalo Bills go, it took Dawson Knox going down for the Bills to implement some sort of offensive scheme here, game plan that we've all been asking for, really, for them to put out there. And if they stick with this, then we could be seeing some more fantasy options in this offense. And although it's possible that Diggs would lose some of his ceiling from that, all in all, I think that he'll be fine. I'll be watching how they look next week for sure to see if this continues. For now, I think that that's what we should expect, especially considering that Dawson Knox should continue to be out for a little while. And despite the end results, I actually think that this is something that could benefit James Cook in a way. I think that what we saw as far as the short yardage targets in an area of the field where James Cook could play, first of all, you had Kincaid doing what Kincaid can do best, which is going to be a little bit deeper, should stay away from eating from the same plate and eating from the same area of the field as James Cook, as well as the fact that we saw Khalil Shakir absolutely dominate in that area of the field where James Cook can also absolutely dominate. And so this game was Khalil Shakir. Maybe the next game would be James Cook with 6-7 targets and just having a bigger game. So those are my thoughts. Let's get on to the injury report. It's pretty funny. I totally forgot that I didn't complete finishing everything around me, so that looked kind of weird for the opening. Also forgot to state that you can come visit me 1.5 hours prior to kickoff for my most up-to-date rankings. You can always go down to the website. There's also a link down in the description, www.theffforge.com, to see those. But yeah, I'm here live on YouTube 1.5 hours prior to kickoff. Let's go. We go in alphabetical order here, and I forgot to change this over here to the wide receivers. So, Arizona, will Kyler Murray start for them? He is doubtful to be starting, and head coach Jonathan Gannon said, we will see. Chicago Bears play Sunday night. Justin Fields is out with a thumb, so it doesn't matter what time. We already know that. Same with Cleveland. We already know that Deshaun Watson is out, and Jerome Ford is questionable with an ankle injury. If he is active, I would put him as a low-end starting running back 2, just out of caution. I wouldn't want to overrank him out of caution of the injury, and that maybe they do rely a little bit more on Kareem Hunt than they have, etc. And Kareem Hunt himself would be a desperation play, and then Pierre Strong Jr. would clearly not be startable. And just like that, we got the running back rankings up off to the side of me. Moving on to the Detroit Lions. David Montgomery did not participate, ×2 ribs. It's a Monday Night Football game, so look to see if he's happens to be limited today, but looks like he is pretty doubtful for Monday night, which obviously is great for Jahmyr Gibbs. Green Bay Packers, Luke Musgrave, questionable with an ankle injury, and it's going to be a surprise if he plays. And that is even the words of Coach LaFleur, but at the same time, it looks like he might be playing. And based on what LaFleur said about his toughness, etc., getting back to practice already, it sounds like there's no way that LaFleur would prevent him from getting on the field. He seems to be very happy with Luke Musgrave and how quickly he's gotten back on the field. Houston, Robert Woods out. Helps your confidence level with Tank Dell. Indianapolis Colts, Zach Moss is questionable with an elbow and a heel injury, two kind of odd ones. I already have JT as a borderline RB1, but if Zach Moss is not playing, then JT would be a must start if he is not one already. Jacksonville, Zay Jones is out with a knee. Las Vegas, nobody there. Los Angeles Chargers play on Sunday night. Josh Palmer's questionable. Gerald Everett's questionable. So that's tough. Josh Palmer's going to be a game time decision. So obviously, if you have either one of them and you're planning on relying on them, you better have a backup plan. Is that simple? And there's a lot of moving parts as to who this could benefit, who might not benefit from this. Wide receiver Jalen Guyton is also questionable. If you have somebody that you're thinking about playing in the event that one of these guys is questionable and you're curious as to my opinion on them, just ask in the comments. It would be much easier to ask on an individual player basis than anything else or answer. But Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, I think are really the ones to gain from this. They're not in a tough matchup where you'd be concerned that this offense isn't going to be able to get things going because they're missing a couple of weapons. So all is good there. Miami Dolphins, Raheem Mostert is questionable with an ankle injury. If he misses, then Salvin Ahmed becomes a back-end running back 2, high-end flex with upside. Of course, when you're on this offense, you always have upside. And Jeff Wilson Jr. becomes a desperation play with upside. And we moved on to the tight end rankings over there. Taysom Hill with the New Orleans is questionable with a chest injury. New York Giants, Daniel Jones is out with his neck injury. And the tone surrounding him from Dable as of today, basically on Friday, has suggested maybe a change in tone and that there's a possibility that he won't be back this season. He would not basically answer the question, yes, he'll for sure be back at some point this season. San Francisco, Brock Purdy questionable with a concussion. It sounds like he might actually be able to return, and the coaching staff there has been optimistic that he will all along. For whatever reason, they've been highly optimistic about it. If he does miss the game, it's up to Sam Darnold to fill in, and I'm not overly concerned about how much of an impact that has on the pass catchers for this offense or this offense as a whole. It'd be a slight downgrade, of course, to the pass catchers, but not a massive one. And Christian McCaffrey gets started no matter what, so it doesn't matter the impact there. Deebo Samuel has been ruled out with his shoulder injury yet again. Seattle Seahawks, not quite. Matt Ryan. I'm just looking down at Tennessee. I wrote Matt Ryan. That ain't right. Seattle, Tyler Lockett questionable with a hamstring. Lockett is likely to play via head coach Pete Carroll. JSN would move into flex territory for me if Lockett did not play. It's not a good matchup this week against Cleveland. I don't like Lockett very much either. So pretty much try to stay away from those guys the best you can this week. Tennessee, Matt. Is his first name even Matt? No, that's what I was like. Did the Ryan Tannehill out with his ankle injury, and Washington Curtis Samuel questionable with his knee injury. Not the end of the world there. I will say if he's out, probably get a little bit more excited about Terry McLaurin there. Let's move on to my DFS lineup. All right, you can take a sneak peek at the lineup over on the side. I'll go over it in a second, but just looking at last week, I had disappointing games from guys in my lineup: Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, and Christian Watson. They all tanked, and an otherwise really good roster finished in the top 24% of lineups for the big tournament. And I did a variation of that lineup in a smaller, like mid-sized kind of competition tournament, if you may, and that placed. And I do believe I replaced Christian Watson with Romeo Doubs on that, so that helped a little bit with that lineup too. I had several good pieces, just didn't have the whole puzzle put together there last week. Let's try and get it all put together this week. And I started out this lineup over at my wide receiver 1, which was Demario Douglas. I see they've reordered these in order of cost. So I started out by taking Demario Douglas and Christian Kirk were the first two players that I took, and that's because those were two suggestions that I made for the wide receiver at my wide receiver rankings video. I wanted to get Demario Douglas in there so I can kind of follow the remaining salary average, that I had to spend on each player from that point forward. From there, I had also suggested that you should probably pay up for Travis Kelce at tight end this week. Might not be a bad idea. And so I did that next. And then from there, I jumped on down to my DST I mentioned in the past. I always like to choose that to just kind of, once again, help to visualize that remaining salary and how I should pick players from that point forward. I was thinking of spending up for Philadelphia's DST, but I also knew that I did not want to go cheap at running back, and I had just spent up for Kelce right before that. So I looked for some less expensive options and got down to the Dallas Cowboys, and I was like, yeah, let's take a chance on that. I think that there's a decent chance, opportunity for this defense this week going up against the Los Angeles Rams to really get in Matt Stafford's face quite a lot and maybe cause some turnovers and thus maybe get a pick six possible. I still felt like I needed to save a little bit of money when I went back up to the top and still started looking for my quarterback. So I kept scrolling down, and then all of a sudden Sam Howell popped out at me, and so I was happy to get Sam Howell at 5,200 DK bucks, which finally brought me to the running backs. And obviously you can see with Alvin Kamara, I spent up right off the bat for him. He's not the top costing running back or anything, maybe the 6th, 7th most expensive. You can always come back and change somebody out if you need, but I wanted to start there at running back and followed that up with Breece Hall. There's a lot of running backs I don't want this week, so I wanted guys that I feel comfortable with. And Breece Hall is only at 5,900, so I felt really good about that. Gave me a decent budget remaining from that point. Knew I could work with that, so set those in stone. Still had one wide receiver spot and a flex spot to go. And McLaurin was about $100 over the average budget I had left. I had $5,200 left for those two spots. McLaurin's $5,300. So that felt good to me. I think one of those receivers, at least this week, is probably going to have a really good week. And I had already picked Sam Howell. So, I'll stack one of those guys with Sam Howell all day. So I did that, and then that left me with my flex spot, and I was between Rashee Rice and Drake London, being full PPR. Maybe I should have gone with Rashee Rice. I will definitely be getting Rashee Rice in another lineup yet again this week. He is really disappointed too much, and hopefully he'll hit a ceiling kind of game one of these weeks. But I decided to go with Drake London on this one. No budget left, no salary remaining after that lineup, so feel free to use this lineup if you'd want. There you go. Thank you very, very much. Have a lovely rest of your Saturday. Come visit me Sunday morning if you wish. And good luck with your fantasy football team this week. I hope you all win, even if you're playing against each other. Bye-bye.